Welcome and good afternoon to Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph streaming to you live high above the keep in the hot air balloon. As always, hanging out with you on YouTube. It's going to be me going solo tonight or this afternoon. Neindorf, I believe, is traveling and doing some weekend plans, and I'm hanging out by myself and figured, you know what? I'm going to get a quick pod in, doing a little bit of hero building at the moment. So this could be a light and easy podcast, as you know we always do. Hit me up on YouTube if you want to have some chat comments that I can respond to. I want this to be a fun one where we can kind of hang out this afternoon. So, one thing that I wanted to go through is dive into some more detail on hero summoning. There's been some, I'll say, kind of more recent videos on this by a lot of other YouTubers. And I feel like this is something the ADFK clan has been working on for a long time. The guild, I should say. And I would say, we have a great group of folks. So if you're really interested in learning more, go check us out on Discord. That link is in the YouTube description. One of the things that I wanted to go through is kind of the plan that I've built based on pulling information from a lot of the other smart folks out there. Whether it's watching information or reading information from Mean Machine, which he's posted a lot of great articles on the ADFK website, or listening to guys like the Bogside chats and Bob Nothing and some of their strategies for how they're leveling heroes. I'm taking a bit of a hybrid approach. And so I'm going to flash up on the screen an Excel sheet of what I've been working on. And so this is kind of my PvP life goals, I'll call it. Obviously, we're going for anytime you can get a mythic, that's fantastic. And what I'm trying to go for is the Elite Plus abilities. And so that would be Giant Slayer, Last Stand, and Second Life. I'm also focusing primarily on the abilities that are in the passives. And that's because I believe that, I've been trying to catch up on all the Wowie and Maddie streams. And one of the things that I continue to notice is every hero class feels like it's awesome. And I think that's a credit to the Wisdom Labs team and what they've done. And so because of that, I think that there is going to, and Maddie even wrote an article about this, I think there's going to be there's going to be an action economy to the game. You're going to have moves to choose from that are your abilities. You're going to have potions to choose from that you're going to want to use. You're going to want to be doing things with your turn all the time. And I think those active abilities are going to come at a premium, especially early on in the game. And so that's why I'm focusing on passive abilities. I believe that they're going to be, I don't know, something marginally more powerful, but I think when you're playing a game of PvP, you try to do everything you can to hit the fringes and game the system any way that you can. And so that's why I'm focusing on the passive abilities more so than the active abilities. And so the kind of the two classes that I've been focusing on the most is trying to get some kind of tank with Second Life. I'm fairly accepting towards, tank, hybrid tanks, whatever it might be. Or I would say my favorite classes right now. I think you can even build a pirate as an off tank. And so if I had a mythic pirate with Second Life, obviously I'd be happy with that, and that might become my tank. Again, go check out Mean Machine's article on ADFK that talks a lot about summoning with, greater vigor stones and the impact that can have on your hero throughout the level ups. But really, the focus here would be a warrior, knight, or a paladin. Those are going to be your primary tanks. And then I'll start to build a team around that. The second thing that I'm going for is a great damage dealer with Giant Slayer. And again, if I can get a mythic, I'll be super happy. Once I get down to the rare territory in terms of the summoning rarities, I think I'm going to target getting 2x on these abilities. And so kind of my thought strategy here is, build towards trying to create these rares. And if you end up getting really lucky and you get a legendary or a mythic with the abilities, awesome, super, that's great. But if I get a rare, I think they're going to be very competitive in the first launch of the PvP game. I think it's going to take, like level 50 before your mythics and legendaries start to really outclass your rares. And so what am I targeting here? I'm looking for, I would love to get a tank with 2x second life. That'd be awesome. Or a damage dealer with 2x Giant Slayer. I'm going to be absolutely using a regular stone on all of these summons, and I'll go into kind of my phases of the strategy next. And then I really want to go for the double class. I think with a mythic, you don't really care. The mythics are rare and few and far between. It's going to be really hard to control both your class, your abilities, your subclass, your stones. And so, if you get whatever class you get in your subclass, it's like you'll still take the mythic. But when you're talking rare and legendary, I think everyone should really, well, I can't advise you what to do, but what I'm going to be focusing on is trying to get that primary class and subclass to match. Again, it's almost like those capstone abilities feel like another elite ability or another elite power level of an ability for the heroes. And we can't predict where the meta is going to go. And so there might be a Dark Knight Priest combination or a Paladin Pirate combination or a Wizard Seer combination that just fits the meta really well and has a unique skill set. But we don't really have that information available to us right now. What we do know is just how darn redonkulous the abilities are for what we're calling quote-unquote pure now. Which would be the primary and the subclass matching up. And so I think I'm going to be going for that as well. So stage 1 of the plan, waste a lot of money on high summons, heroes with elite abilities. And so if you go onto the tavern, you can look for, heroes with 8 or 9 summons left and have an elite ability. And those are going to be fairly expensive, and you're going to want to get a few pairs of those if you want to try the strategy, or at least this is the strategy that I tried. I probably got in total something like 6 pairs of 8 or 9 summons left, and then another 6 or 8 pairs with somewhere between 5 and 8 summons left in total. Then what you do is you summon them together, and you're trying to take those heroes that match up, and you're either trying to go for those double elites, so you have an elite in passive 1 and passive 2, or you get second life, and so you're trying to take a Giant Slayer and a Last Stand, and you're trying to have that mutate. And again, this can be really frustrating and take a lot of times when you have 2 9 out of 9s with elite abilities that either pair up to get a second life or pair up to get a double elite, and you whiff hard and you don't get any of the elite abilities in your offspring. That's 8 out of 8. That's happened to me a couple times. That's really painful. That hurts, but that is kind of the life of summoning. So, you just kind of have to roll with the punches. And with this strategy, you're really going for playing the numbers that you can, make that up over a large number of summons, and hopefully the variant starts to play in your favor. Because if you think about it, for every one of the rugs that you have, it takes to not have, I think it's like around a 10% chance for the elites to not even show up in a recessive ability. And so it's almost like just as often as the hard rugs occur, the great wins will occur. So either you get that, it's about 15% chance to get an elite ability in both passive 1 and in passive 2, and so that actually should happen more frequently. And then to summon to second life, that's of course usually around a 7% chance. And of course, if you use the ADFK website, you can get all those percentages spoon-fed to you, so you don't have to memorize them. So then this is where I start taking the Bob Nothing approach, and I say, all right, so now I've summoned a lot of heroes with double elites or second lives. They probably don't have a lot of summons left, but the next thing that I want to do is I want to get those heroes that are great building blocks, get them up to level 5. And why level 5? Level 5 gives you the +1 bonus in your stat points, and if you pair that with a regular stone or a greater stone, it's going to give you that much power in the early stages of the game. And so why not wait and level them up to level 5? Also, as something that Bob Nothing has said often is that, again, we don't know what the meta is going to be. And so, you don't know what stats are going to be the best for each of the heroes. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess you're a little set in terms of what stats you're choosing to level up. Those are going to be the ones that pass on as the primary, but you may choose to switch your stone once we get up to level 5 or 10 or wherever you end up being. Kind of stage 4, maybe this is 3.5, is try to gain value out of the stragglers. It hurts really bad when you get a legendary and the recessive, the Giant Slayer went to the recessive, or the Last Stand went to the recessive. Throw them into the pit though. Try to get that recessive to mutate. That actually happened to me just a couple days ago, where I had a legendary thief and Giant Slayer moved back into R1 for passive 1 ability, and I was super sad, cried about it a little bit, and then I decided, you know what, I'm throwing him in the pit. And so I threw the legendary thief in the pit with an uncommon pirate that had a passive 2 Giant Slayer, and I actually ended up getting quite lucky. The odds for this were pretty low, but when you get the guys that are kind of, we'll call them rejects or stragglers, as I like to call them, I ended up coming out with a rare pirate that had double Giant Slayer on it. And so that ability ended up mutate again. I got the value of legendary in the dark summons, taking my uncommon to a rare level, and I got to use the stone that I wanted as well. So kind of an example of stay flexible and make sure you're burning out those stragglers to gain the most value that you can out of the system. Stage 5, which I am not at yet, is big boy summon time. And so that's once you hit level 5, you can start pairing together heroes. And so like a double Giant Slayer, if you have 2 double Giant Slayers together and you use a greater stone, it's about a 56% chance that you are going to get a hero that comes out with double Giant Slayer. And so if you do this 2 or 3 times, ideally you're going to get, you'll get it you'll hit on half of those times, and then you'll have a double Giant Slayer with a greater stone. And I'm thinking greater strength stone is going to be the way to go. The other way that you could try to do it is try to take a single double Giant Slayer and pair them with a 1 Giant Slayer. I might do that, but I feel like the value isn't quite there, so you're better off, building up your heroes in the long run. So here's the massive list of heroes that I have. And again, this is now, I'm probably going on about 12 weeks of summoning with the lead abilities and all the heroes that I've gotten. So yeah, it appears a bit like maybe an embarrassment of riches, but this has been something that I'll call it a significant investment of both time and money to try to get these heroes into your life, and keep pushing on this. So what do we do in the bear market? We all build, and I wanted to share a lot more information of what I've been building, how I've been looking at heroes. And again, I'm still going for, the goals of getting a mythic, legendary, or even rares. I think are going to be really strong. Even a rare with a regular stone. If you get a mythic with a lesser stone, you might just have to take it. I should talk a little more about stones. So if I get to the point where I'm doing my big boy summons, I am going to the best of my abilities, try to acquire greater stones to use for the big boy summons. Once you have them level 5, you have the rarity, or at least the first stage of the rarity you want. You're going to want to use those big stones. And while you're kind of working your way there, though, in stage 2, I'm using lesser stones at all times in stage 2. And so there might be a mythic. I've only gotten 1 mythic that's popped out with an elite ability, and I had a lesser vigor stone on it. So I feel good about that. I think I would have felt a lot worse had that mythic not shown up. And so for me, I invest in stones on all of my elite ability summoning that I'm doing, and that just it is an added cost. Um, but that's part of, I would hate to get a legendary or mythic that ends up not having a stone, and so that's why I've chosen to make that choice. Um, I am not using a stone, as just a side note. I'm not using a stone for my Gen Zero summons right now. Gen Zero summoning is quite profitable to just summon and sell. So I have not been doing that. I know some people are still forever stoners. I respect them, mad respect. I think Sir Worm is still doing that. But I that's where I kind of draw the line of how expensive it is. And again, I think the same logic can be applied that if you get a really high rarity hero, you're going to feel really bad if you don't have the stone on it, even a lesser stone. But since I'm turning and burning most of those and trying to sell them, I'm going for the elite abilities. I decided to save my stones back for that. So I'll pause for a moment, jump over onto YouTube, see if there's any questions. Candor Gander, I just opened up a super chat. I don't really know how a super chat works. I didn't even know that it was live, but thank you for the $2 super chat. That is incredible. You are the man, the myth, the legend, a true scholar. So thank you for that, and I'll have to return the favor once you're streaming. I know I've been closely following all the content coming out of 3XP. I'm so jealous that you guys got to go to that. Really hoping that we get to meet in real life at some point in time. Hopefully the next bull market, once all this investment in Jewel really starts paying off. All right. So I got a lot of heroes here, and just to show you like the percentage of heroes that are high rarities, not a lot. And so these are all my mythics. I only have 2 mythics. One of them I purchased, and one of them I was able to summon, and then a few legendaries that I have a lot of tanks with Giant Slayer, and so I'll try to be pairing them up. I actually have a hero that I'm looking at buying here. Let me jump over and hide this. So, tools that you can use if you're interested in this are Tavern Data in ADFK. This is a paid feature for members over there. You go over to the Tavern Data page, and what you can do is you can filter by summons, rarity, whatever you'd like, and class of hero. So right now I'm filtering by legendaries and mythics out on the Tavern that have elite abilities, and so in this tab I'm looking for elite ability in passive 1, and on this tab I'm looking for an elite ability in passive 2. And I actually found this guy here, this warrior, and so I'm going to go ahead and snag him up on the Tavern. This warrior knight is a legendary, and he has last stand. And if we go to my Excel sheet, you can see I have a knight warrior with Giant Slayer, and I have a knight thief with Giant Slayer as well that has 1 summon remaining. This warrior that I'm buying right now has 2 summons remaining, so I'm going to have to burn off one of those summons before I pair him up with this bad boy and hopefully get to keep that rarity. And then, of course, I will absolutely use the final summon in the Dark Summoning Pit, where we know that we're going to guarantee that the offspring is at least another legendary. So that'll be pretty neat. Alright, so I ended up grabbing this hero. And let's just find, we got to burn one of those summons, so let's go over here to the portal. Let's find someone to go with him. Alright, so I'll bring back up my handy dandy page. Clear my filter. We're going to filter by summons remaining. being 2. And we're going to be going for a Giant Slayer, probably. Or another Last Stand. Might be what we do too. So I have a few options here. Let's look at... We have a basic 2, basic 7, basic 8. So 2... Don't want to go with the summoner. 2, 7. I could go with this warrior who has a stun. Again, I don't do the active abilities often, but I do have a few. I really like, this pirate here and going for that double Last Stand on a tank. Or grabbing this Giant Slayer on the priest, who's also an uncommon, and trying to go with that. Let's see if I have any good class mutations. It's a warrior knight, so could try to pair with the second life, but that's violating. That's big boy summoning time, so I gotta wait for them to get to level 5. All right, so maybe chat here. What? Oh, and I apologize. I'm not flashing my Excel up on screen, which would make life a lot easier for you. So chat. Yeah, Swiss crypto guy, looking at your list, this will be a lot of dark summoning fun. Totally agree. Vibe saying, I know Second Life is a crowd favorite. I agree with that. What are you, Vibes asking, what are you valuing more, 1 elite trait or 2 advanced traits? Right now, I'm valuing elite traits. And I think that it's easy enough to get actually 2 elite traits. So that's what I've been going for. I've been going for having my cake and eating it too. All right, so looking at the Excel sheet, any recommendations on who we should pair this guy with? I think options are the priest going for a second life, or the warrior here going for a double Last Stand. Kind of like that idea. And the abilities, don't have any other ability matches. So the kind of what I like to think about as well is like, what are the possible downsides or upsides? So if I summon with the warrior, I love the idea of getting a warrior paladin or a warrior in return. I'd probably boost this with not probably, I will absolutely boost this with the Vigor Stone. And so I know I'm going to have that. Going back to the Excel page. The priest, I have that, 7% chance of getting that second life to carry through. There's a slightly higher percent chance that the double Last Stand comes through. But with the double Last Stand, you also could miss and get nothing. And I only have a couple summons left, so I think I'm leaning towards the priest right now. And I'm gonna hide this and bring the priest up on screen. All right, leaning towards this priest here. Oh, we do have an ability match as well. Okay. Oh, 2 ability matches. Okay, so that kind of seals the deal looking at this, and I think really what, even though the ability matches are nice, um, I like when you're going for the second life because there's a higher likelihood. When you're going for double giant slayer, or if I was going for a last stand in P2 and a last stand in P1, the chances that you miss entirely are there, and they are a much higher percentage than when you're summoning in the same slot. The chances of you getting nothing in your passive trait is a lot lower. And since I have a legendary, I'd really love to get one offspring. Maybe it's rare or better, hoping here for the best, and has an elite ability that I can also, that will have one summon left, that I can do some more fun things with. Alright, so I'm going to jump over and see if YouTube chat has any suggestions. Nothing yet. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and let these rip. And I have the bot running in the background, so transactions might be moving a little slow. Neindorf just released the feature for us to have auto level ups, which I'm absolutely loving, with about 450 heroes in my wallets in total. That's giving me a lot of time back to my life. All right, let's see what pops out. Again, really going after ability here more so than class. If it keeps the warrior, that would be preferred. If it's a priest, if it's a scholar, like, okay, fine. It is a vigor stone, so let's see what the rarity is. Uncommon. Yeah, scholar seer. Wow, that is interesting. Was not expecting that. And minor, of course. Okay, we got giant slayer, and we did get exhaust. We got an advance to come through, so that's awesome. So now what we'll do is, well, this guy's on summoning cooldown, but now we'll look to pair him with, pair him or her? Yeah, pair her with someone else from the list who has last stand. And so, I think it's just a great example of didn't get at all what I was targeting, but I can keep playing it forward. We got an advanced one, so that's fantastic from an offspring standpoint. And we got a giant slayer that we can go ahead and try to use. Let's look at the recessive. Oh, that is interesting. And so that hero, the priest that I used, must have had a giant slayer in R1 because I don't think it existed on that warrior. So that makes things very interesting. I think I'll be a very high likelihood with a giant slayer in the dominant and giant slayer in the recessive. There's now pretty much a 46 or 47% chance that it's basically this hero versus the other hero that you're summoning with. So very high percentage chance that this giant slayer will pass through because it's in dominant and in R1. And so high likelihood that I'll probably now try to do the doubling up, where I try to find another hero that has giant slayer in passive 1, and I try to create a hero with the double giant slayer. So that's definitely the route that I'm going to go. And I might even look a little closer through my inventory of heroes and see if I have any one summon left heroes with a giant slayer in DR1 for that passive one, which I know I have some out there. So that's it for the summons for today. Any questions? I'll hang out for a few more minutes, and feel free to ask them away. Neindorf and I, we are going to have a podcast, I believe, on Tuesday or Wednesday this next week, and we have a big announcement. We have been building something. If you go back and look at the teaser, or look at last week's episode, we have some imagery at the end that we tease over, that you can see on the website. So we have something that we've been working on with one of our bandmates, Skillet, for some time now, and we're really excited to start getting the alpha stages out there, and we'll have a full release and full announcement with some giveaways, talking about that next week. So thank you for joining. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a great Saturday. I know I am. Had a chance to really catch up on the bot configurations, and keep building in the bear market, and have a great afternoon.